Hey guys, it's Eric with Low VA Rates. Today we are going to talk about what does no closing costs really mean on a VA loan. Now some of you may have heard the saying that there's no such thing as a free lunch. Well, the same is true for mortgages. Every benefit has its trade-off, and that's definitely true when speaking about a no closing cost VA mortgage. In today's video, we will go over what no closing costs really means, how it could impact your mortgage, and how to decide if it's the right way to structure your loan. Now remember, if you haven't been able to tell, I'm wearing red. That means it's Friday. If you say, what are you talking about? This is the first video I've ever seen at Low VA Rates. Every single Friday, our entire office, including of course me, we wear red. It's an outward kind of example of how we feel inside. Red historically stands for remember everyone deployed. We've just kind of lumped it in there as if you're patriotic, if you love America, if you love this great country we live in, and especially support our veterans, then show off by wearing red. Also, speaking of red, you should subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the red subscribe button below. If you're on Facebook or Instagram or you found this video somewhere else, seriously, follow us on YouTube, become a fan. It's a great way to stay in the know on all things VA loans. Now, let's start talking about what no closing costs really means. Sometimes people misunderstand this term and think it means that legitimately they won't pay a thing for their mortgage, or that all their closing costs are waived. What a no closing cost mortgage truly means is that basically, if you don't want to pay closing costs, then you'll end up making up for that in extra interest over time, slightly higher interest rate. I'm going to get to that. Let's look at how the no closing cost feature on a loan might impact you if you decide to structure your loan that way. Now, before I forget, I got this whiteboard back here, and I want to put up the topic, no closing costs. That way you guys can kind of follow along while I'm talking. Here's what happens. In the short term, you're going to take a higher interest rate, which means that you'll have a slightly higher monthly payment. So no closing costs, usually the trade-off, slightly higher rate, which means higher payment. If you never refinance into a lower rate, you'll also pay more interest over the life of the loan. Now, why do I bring that up? There are people that perhaps did a no closing cost loan 2, 3, 4 years ago. We'll talk about why you might do that. And then interest rates dropped, so they were able to lower that rate. If you never refinance after doing a no closing cost loan with a slightly higher rate, then you are going to pay more interest over the long term. You may actually pay a little bit more interest in the short term too. Despite these considerations, a no closing cost VA loan might still be a very good choice if you're in the following situations, okay? Situation number one, probably the most popular reason someone would want to elect a slightly higher interest rate, like we talked about right here, for a no closing cost loan, is that you're going to be in your loan or your home, and I'm going to make a difference here in a second, or a distinction, short term, okay? A lot of times people will say, oh, well, I'm only going to be in this home for like the next 3, maybe 5 years, especially our military buyers or homeowners, because they move often, especially if they're on active duty. Now, we also have some people say, hey, this is my retirement home. I'm going nowhere, but I absolutely know that I'm going to refinance 3, 4, 5 years from now when I have equity or when rates drop. So whether you plan on being in the loan or the home for the short term, it doesn't matter. The big kicker here is it does make a lot of sense to consider structuring your loan this way if you've got some short-term plans, okay? So keep in mind, even though you're taking a slightly higher interest rate, and I use slightly purposefully, it's not going to be like this massive difference in rate. Therefore, your payment is just slightly higher also. Where it becomes costly is if you're going to stay in it long term, because all of that stuff compounds and adds up over the long term. Now here's the second situation where you might decide the trade-off of these slightly higher rates and slightly higher payments is worthwhile. Option number 2 that I want to talk about is if coming up with money out of your pocket at closing, which normally really only happens on VA loans when you're buying a home. So let's say you're sitting down to consider buying a home, and then you realize, oh my gosh, I need $10,000 on top of the purchase price to cover all of my closing costs, and you just can't come up with that money, you can't get the seller to cover it for you, well then it's very, very likely that you should consider structuring your loan into a no closing cost loan. That little bit of an extra payment and higher rate is going to get you into your dream home, and then you've got the long term to look at refinancing or doing a streamlined refinance, which is obviously a type of refinance. There's a lot of ways to get into the home through a no closing cost option and then to better your situation a couple of years into it. We want you to make an informed decision so you're able to really evaluate if the convenience factor is worth the extra money. So what if you're still unsure? Here are 2 more options that can help you reduce your total closing costs instead of going with the complete no closing cost route. So I never wrote that in here. Number 2, hopefully you guys just rewind your video and watch it. But now I'm talking about 2 alternative reasons where you might not go with a completely no closing cost loan, but you want to do a reduced closing cost loan. Option 1, shop. Okay, we talk about this all the time. Lots of cool videos on our YouTube page. Shop lenders. Even though VA loans limit the closing costs that lenders like low VA rates can charge you, there's still some room for differences from lender to lender. When you shop around for a lender, you can try and find one that has the least amount of closing costs. For example, the VA allows lenders like low VA rates to charge up to 1% loan origination fees on all VA loans. But if you decide to come to low VA rates, we do not charge any origination fees on our VA purchase or our VA cash out loans. We only charge those on our streamlines. When shopping around, you'll also want to compare loan estimates, especially the annual percentage rate or the APR, which is located on the 3rd page of that document. Since the APR measures the combined cost of the interest rate and the closing costs involved with the loan, you're going to want to really make sure you are familiar with that loan estimate and you're comparing APRs. The second option, shop around, not shop lenders, but shop around for specific closing costs. So keyword today is shop. Okay, shop around for some specific closing costs. There you go. Not the best handwriting. On the 2nd page of the loan estimate, there is a section called services you can shop for. These services typically include things like title insurance, other title services, perhaps pest inspections would be listed here, and there might be another small group of closing costs or services, I should say, that you can shop for. And if you really like your lender, but you still want to reduce your closing costs, shopping around for specific shoppable services will allow you to do just that. Basically what I'm saying is instead of going with the companies suggested for the services from the lender, you can choose to shop around and see if you find one that might have lower fees, which will then allow you to minimize your closing costs that you're going to pay out of pocket. So now that you know more about the no closing cost VA loan, we hope you're better equipped to decide if that's the right option for you. If you're still not sure, you can pick up the phone and give us a call. You can connect with one of our agents via texting or through our website. Just whatever you do, get a hold of us. Let one of our licensed loan officers discuss your specific situation and your needs with you. Again, this is Eric with Low VA Rates. Please wear red with me every Friday, and we'll see you back here at the same time next week with a whole new topic.